Hey everybody, welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. In this video I want to talk to you about these 4 Amazon Echo Alexa devices, and I'm going to give you a comparison, and I want to talk to you about, which is better for music, and just kind of a general overview of them as well. So let's start with the Amazon Studio over to the right, and this is like their flagship model. That's the most expensive, and it typically sells for like $200. This has a tweeter located right here. There's a woofer under here. You can kind of, if I stick my finger in there, I could kind of just like touch the foam surround on it, or the rubber surround, whatever it might be. And there's a mid-range driver here. There's a mid-range driver here, and there's a mid-range driver up here. Okay. Now, all of these drivers only function with the Amazon Spatial Audio turned on. With the Amazon Spatial Audio turned off, all you have is these 2 mid-range drivers on the side and your woofer. Now, this is the latest generation of the Amazon Echo Ball, and this is also the latest generation of this, I should say, as well. Over here you have 2 tweeters. I think they're kind of like here and here, and then there's a woofer in here somewhere. I forget exactly how it's angled, but it's in there. This is the old version, but this has a single tweeter. I believe it was pointing down, and there was a woofer that was also pointing down. If you put a little bit of felt underneath it, it does improve the sound on it, just like the felt improves the sound on this as well, because there's like a lot of sound that comes out of these, especially with the drivers pointing downward towards this. So this one was the first one I ever purchased, this small one over here. Now the small one only has like a single driver in it, and I believe it's mounted here and it kind of just points downward, and it's also mono. So the sound kind of just comes out everywhere. So it really doesn't matter where you place this thing. I mean, placement does help a little bit, but you could stand, I'm going to get my nutcracker out over here, because it is around Christmas time right now anyway, and I'm going to use the nutcracker to kind of just show you, like, you could be standing anywhere around this and you're going to hear the same sounds out of this unit. This unit is really great for like audiobooks, talk sort of things, the basic Amazon functions like, hey Alexa, what's the weather? Alexa, I'm leaving. For the Amazon, what is it called? Guard, the security thing. Stuff like that it's good for. For music, not really for music. It's not very good for that. But to be quite honest, like, this is the sort of thing that, like, I could have given my grandmother back in the day, and she would have been perfectly happy with this. Me, no, not for music. I have used it to listen to music, but it's pretty much just like mid-range frequencies what you're getting out of this. So just keep that in mind. When you moved up to this, which was purchased around the same time, this unit's a lot heavier, it's a lot more powerful, and then you have the separate tweeter and woofer. So it's pretty much the same thing with this as well. You could be standing anywhere around it, and it's going to sound the same. With this particular unit, I do like it high up. I think it sounds better if you could put it high up, like on top of a bookshelf. So the higher up it is, and I think because the tweeter on it, the tweeter again is firing downward, so that makes your sound come down this way. So it's like you're always hearing it, compared to if it's down low and you're standing up. Now the sound is from the tweeters firing this way. So I do tend to put this on top of a bookshelf in the locations that I use it, or I put it as high as I possibly can. This is a lot better for music than the Echo Clock. This is the clock version of this one. It's a lot better for music, and the music that's coming out of this is mono, the same as this one, but it's nice because I feel like the sound is very consistent with this. It doesn't have to be so loud like with the Echo Studio for it to start to sound good. And I'm not saying that this sounds great. Like, this isn't like an audiophile's dream. Even though the term audiophile, it's kind of like, you know, there's no certification for that or degree. It's kind of like self-labeled, you know, oh, I'm an audiophile, you know. I mean, I feel like, you know, anybody that appreciates good audio, if you want to call yourself that, whatever, you know, I could call myself that or not. I mean, I've always loved audio and home theater. So, but anyway, I'm getting off topic. You know, this is not, you know, this wouldn't be like an audiophile's dream come true, but, you know, it's nice for most people. And again, you know, back in the day, if I gave this to my grandmother, you know, she would have been perfectly happy with it. She would have been I don't even know if she would have been able to tell the difference between the music coming out of this and the music coming out of this. But you know, she would have, you know, liked it. I don't know if she would have been able to operate it, but she would have, she would have liked it. So that's that's pretty much my story about these two. This one, if you place it up higher as well, I do think it sounds better too. Putting these on the shelf of a bookshelf, you know, they sound good. It definitely enhances the bass with this one. This one, again, it doesn't really sound great, but this one sounds better. But I think because it's mono, then it's nicer to have it just up high, like not contained inside, you know, of a bookshelf. But if you put it there, I mean, I think it does sound good. You know, there's nothing wrong with it as well. Sometimes putting it in the bookshelf makes it sound a little bit clearer, I think, because the tweeter's bouncing off of the back wall and the sides and all that. But if you can boost it up in the bookshelf a little bit as well, I think that helps too. Okay, next let's talk about the ball version. So the Echo Ball. Again, this has, you know, the two tweeters here and here. The Echo Ball, I think, really sounds fantastic. This one of the bunch is my choice because the Echo Ball, it's a little bit difficult to position because, you know, you have a tweeter here and here. So if you want good stereo sound, you know, of course you'd have to be standing more so here. So the tweeter's here and here. You want to be here, so you're hearing the stereo sound. You know, the more you go off to the side, then you start losing stereo because you're going to lose the sound from one tweeter or the other. You know, if you're all the way over here to the side, then these tweeters are going this way, and you're off to the side. But yet, it still does sound good. I think that the bass on this is nice. It's nice and tight. It's got nice, I guess you could say, like punch to the bass. Again, it's pretty tight bass. The bass on this is much more like muddy or dull bass, but you know, the treble's not as good either. So, you know, many times what makes bass sound good is being backed up by excellent treble and mid-range, you know, because the sound of a kick drum, that like little click of a kick drum, especially if like the drummer put those things that they stuck on it, or what was it, like they would tape on quarters, like I think the guy from Pantera, Vinnie Paul, would like tape quarters or something onto his kick drums, or he stuck those things on anyway. But you know, to get that extra like click type of sound to the kick drum, yeah, I think that this is a great sounding unit because the vocals come through nice and clear. I don't have any issues with any vocals. The only thing with this unit might be that it can be a little bit gritty sometimes. Sometimes there's a little bit of a grittiness to the treble, and sometimes the treble can be a little bit sharp. But I think of the four, this is no doubt the best. And if it was between purchasing two of these or one of these, because this sells for $200 normally with no sales, and this normally sells for $100, but you could many times find this for like $50, $60 on sale, and sometimes this will go down to maybe like I think like $160 or $150. I would no doubt purchase two of these and run these in stereo mode versus one of these. It would just sound much better. I don't have two of them to test it out, but just listening to it, then I would have some nice, you know, stereo, and I would really like spread them out in a room, and I think it would sound much better. But I do think that this is the best of the bunch, and even when you do like move around it, just because the sound is so nice and clear, it still sounds good. And many times, like, I'll be far away from this thing, like 50 feet away somewhere. I'll be like in another room or whatever, and I'll still like hear that nice bass, coming through. And I did, change the EQ a bit. I took the mid-range and I dropped it down a tiny bit, and I turned up the bass a bit or whatever. And I don't know if I turn up the treble, but let's find out. I'm gonna open up the app. Let's see, where are you? So because it's not plugged in, I can't use the app. It's just saying that it's offline, so it won't even connect. Otherwise, I was going to check the sound settings with the bass, mid-range, and treble that they give. But anyway, this is also pretty loud too. It's actually pretty loud. I prefer it over this one because this at a low volume, like if you say like Alexa volume 2, it sounds good. If you say Alexa volume 3, it sounds good. Volume 4 sounds good. Volume 5 sounds good. With the studio, if I say Alexa volume 2, it's like, it's this muddy, mid-ranged, horrible sound that just comes out of it. This needs to go to like Alexa volume 4, Alexa volume 5. But then when you get there, it's like, it might be too loud for, it might be too loud for you. It might be too loud, in the room that it's in, but it doesn't have that clarity that this has. I call this the mid-range box. You could listen to this little echo. You could listen to this as well, and if it's volume 2 or volume 3, they all sound the same. These sound a little bit better, volume 3, volume 4, volume 5, but it's nothing I feel like as drastic as this. Okay, so now, what's the problem here? The problem here is really the difference between the Amazon spatial audio option and no spatial audio. So when spatial audio is turned on, it sounds good with audio that's made for it. It does. I don't think it sounds bad at all. I actually liked it, some of the tracks that I listened to. But when it's turned off, and you're listening to, regular 2-channel audio, or it's turned on, and probably even worse when you're listening to regular 2-channel audio. Because when you turn off the spatial audio, this tweeter shuts off. This mid-range shuts off. And I proved it because all you have to do is take your hands and put it here and here. And when you cover up these two mid-range drivers, when you cover up these two mid-range drivers like this, you don't hear anything. So, this tweeter's off. Again, this one is off. So you only have sound coming out of here and here. And these mid-range drivers are really just that. They sound like they're made for mid-range. So you have really poor sounding cymbals, and the cymbals are very slurry sounding, like they're laggy, they're dragging, they kind of sound like AM radio. It's not very good, okay? But when you have the spatial audio turned on, then this tweet is working, so your cymbals sound better, your vocals sound better, stuff like that. But then for audio that's only 2-channel audio, when you have the spatial audio turned on, is that it just doesn't sound good because it's changing the sound. So for example, it'll put the voices here. Maybe. Sometimes the voices kind of disappear depending on what I've been listening to. The guitars will come like shooting out of here, and it'll sound overemphasized, ridiculously strong, and you'll lose bass, you'll lose vocals at times, you'll lose other instruments. It'll just sound bad. And then if you're here listening to it, it's like you won't hear the vocals anymore. You'll just hear like the guitars flying out of the sides. Or if you're here, listening to it, it just doesn't sound very good. You have to be literally like right here, right? Or maybe, which is what I did, was I turned it around so the back of it, now the tweeter was firing at a wall, but I had it like a lot closer to the wall. So it was hitting the wall, and then it sounded a little bit more even. But what Amazon really needs to do is they need to really make an all speaker mono mode, like the home theater receivers have, an all speaker mono mode, so you could turn this on, and then anywhere you're standing, you're going to pretty much hear the same sounds. Or an all channel stereo mode would be great, or all speaker stereo mode, again just like the home theater receivers have. Something like that would be really nice for this. But I do think that what they should have done is taken the tweeters from this. I mean, maybe it's the same tweeter, I don't know. Maybe this is just two of this one tweeter that that this has. But if the tweeters were here, like here and here maybe, but angled more this way, and maybe this was a mid-range, this was a mid-range, maybe that would have sounded much better. And I think it would have, to be perfectly honest, than the way it's designed. Now, as far as placement of this, where to place it, and I guess where to place this as well, you could really place this ball pretty much anywhere. I think you could pretty much anywhere. It's fine. Just make sure that your tweeters are kind of a little bit lined up with where you're going to be listening to it. It sounds good sitting on a bookshelf. I had it on top of a bookshelf. I had it like in the bookshelf section. That seems to like enhance the bass even more by doing that. Pretty much this unit just sounds great almost everywhere. Whereas with this, check out my video that I have for this unit. You really want to have either two things on each side. Let me just grab my big cup as an example. So I would want my cup probably some like right around here. So this tweeter, or maybe more so here. So this tweeter is bouncing off the cup and then coming forward. So basically, mid-range driver. It's not a tweeter, mid-range driver. So if you took your hands while it's in, while the spatial audio is turned off and it's in 2-channel mode, and you do this with it, it sounds much better. It sounds much better. So you either have to have it somewhere that it's positioned in a location like that, or in some sort of like a cube where the sound can come out the front, or the sound will come out the back. Again, check out the video that I have for this particular unit as well. It'll probably make more sense, or maybe it won't. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope everyone has a fantastic day.